Alright, what's up everyone? It is JR and I am back at it again. Today is Thursday, September the 29th. It's about 4:02 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, basically I haven't really studied my chart yet, so I figured, alright, let's come back, maybe study it and kind of do like a chart review at the same time, just to kind of give you guys like a feel for how it is that I go back and I review my chart and how I study it and like how I determine what would have been a good trade, what wouldn't have been a good trade, things of that nature. So yeah, I guess let's just jump to the beginning and talk about it. First off, let me start off by saying that I personally didn't really like today too much. It was okay. Compared to the previous days that we've been getting, I don't know, man. The trades just weren't as like clean to me. They weren't as it just wasn't as textbook, basically. It just wasn't as textbook. There were still some pretty good moves, but it wasn't as pretty and as ideal as I usually like to see my trade. So I guess let me just first start off by pointing out the three trades that I actually did take. I took this short, this long in here, and this long down here. So basically I came in around about 9:30. That's around about the time that I start trading every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I came in, I always draw a trend line off the first two swings off the bottom or the first two swings off the top, just in case. So I drew my trend line off that, dragged it down to the bottom. It fit nicely. Slapped a midline on there just in case, and another thing that I do is I like putting in midlines just to kind of see like if it is valid, because usually if you've got a midline in there that fits pretty well, then most likely there's going to be some validity to it. So I come on in. Where's the 9:30? Yeah, this is 9:30 right there. That's the first trade. So basically I was looking for a short. Alright, you get your first entry short right there, your second entry short's right there. You can't take that trade because you've got this upward channel working up. Oh yeah, and another thing. Pardon me, hopefully you can hear me, but I have my window open and the heater's also thumping in the background, so hopefully it doesn't sound like a hurricane or a tornado or gale force winds or anything crazy like that. Hopefully you can still hear me. And another thing that I noticed was the audio on the past videos that I put up was a little bit low. So I went into my PC and adjusted that, so hopefully it's a bit clearer for you today. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. So you get your first entry short, your second entry short. You can't go short right there because you've got this upward channel working up. So usually you want to wait for a break, which comes right there, and then either a retest or a new high, which comes right there. So I liked going short right there. The only thing about this trade is I'm not completely sure if it's considered to be valid, because when I checked the midday chart, Mac had something slightly different. Basically he had a short-term trend line like this one right here, and then basically you get your break and then your move to a new low, and after that he drew another trend line basically working up in the opposite direction off the swing lows. So I don't know if he was looking for longs at that point or what, but I personally like the short. It was coming off my trend line. I had a break, push up to a new high, and it seemed like a good place to go short, so that was good for it was good for a scalp. So then when we fail to go lower, we bounce right here. I'm thinking, okay, maybe we're flipping over. It could possibly be a range day, since it's we have a break of our trend line so early. So this trend line might not be valid. We could have a range day. That's basically what I'm thinking at that point. So start looking for either traps or some way to hop in it long. So you get your first entry short, your second entry short, failure right there. Nice little bullish reversal type bar right off the EMA. I liked going long right there, and let me explain to you why I liked going long right there. I liked going long right there because, let me make this bigger first of all. I liked going long right here. This is too big. Oh jeez. Hopefully this is big enough for you guys, by the way. This looks all stretched out and stuff. There we go. I liked going long right here because when you've got scenarios like this, you got one top then another top, people will see it go down right here, and then they'll watch it, and then they'll say, oh, I knew I should have gone short right there. Then they'll see it go down right there, and then they say, oh, I knew I should have gone short right there. Next time it sets up, I'm going to go short. So then this one comes right here. It's your third touch of that same little area. Let me put a put a line on there to show you the resistance that's kind of building up. Oh yeah, and another helpful hint, if you want to get your line straight, what I always do is I go up here and I just grab a crosshair and I just line it up with the crosshair, so you get a nice straight clean line, and it's pretty simple to get it good and straight. But yeah, so people, they'll see that stuff start stacking up, and then next time it goes up there, they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna sell it this time, and by the time they eventually do hop on it, it's too late. So when we started bouncing like that, I figured, okay, it's probably a range day. We're most likely heading up here to retest these highs, so let me look for a long, right? So we get the failed second entry short right here, so I liked putting a stop right there. Looking back at it in hindsight, I think I may have gotten in a little bit too early. I probably should have waited for this bar right here, because then if you count again, counting off this low, let me delete that thing because it's getting in the way, but if you count again, counting off this low, you get your first entry short, your second entry short, and then this bar right here, this also entices more people to go short, because if they didn't get short right there, they see this, they say, okay, we're probably definitely going lower. They get short underneath that bar. It ticks them in, it moves up against them. This is a pretty good example of a trap right here. So if anybody wants to know what a trap looks like, it pretty much looks like this. It looks like it's going to go down, it'll tick you in, and then instantly start moving against you. Then you'll get a big burst like this and just a strong bar that'll close on its high, and before you know it, you're stopped out. You thought you had a good trade and you're stopped out. So yeah, this was the second trade that I took today. I liked going long right there for those reasons. You got the resistance stacking up there. People are probably getting short. It's a range day. You get your failed second entry short, first entry right there, pullback second entry right there, and yeah, it was good for a nice little move. And then these trades that I have marked on here, I didn't actually take these. These are just possible trades that basically I guess there's reasons to take them. I didn't like going short right there personally because it's too close to the low. I don't really have that much room. I don't know, I wasn't really feeling it, but I guess there's reasons to have taken it if I don't know, just I don't know, I guess just disregard this. But pretty much the reason why it's marked is because it's a failed second entry long right off the EMA, and it would have worked out, it would have been good for a scalp, but yeah, just disregard that. So skip over that, and then you bounce right here, you pull back up to the top, we retest these same highs once again, you get your first entry long, pull back your second entry long, nice bullish bar right off the EMA, right off the trend line. It ticks one tick higher, comes back, closes really bearishly. I think you're good to go short there. That would have worked out. Then you get a failed second entry long once again down here. You get, well, the failed second entry is right there, but you can treat that the same way. And the only thing that I don't really like about this is the fact that you're stacked up and you're going sideways. And yeah, you're stacked up and you're going sideways, but it would be right off the trend line. It's relatively close to the EMA. You've got your reversal pattern. We went straight through the EMA, and we didn't go straight through it because we bounced right there, but we went straight through the EMA basically. You've got your failed second entry long in there, so it's a nice bearish bar. I guess you're good to drop a short, to drop a stop down in there if you were able to catch it, because clearly it gapped over. But if you were able to catch that, then yeah, that was probably a good trade. And then yeah, you work on down, and initially I had the lows of the range. Let me see. Initially I had the lows of the range. I think I had them right here. So we come on down, we bounce off of it, pull back. I didn't like that short because you're going short right back into the lows of the day and the lows of the range, so it's just not that good of an idea. We break on beneath, and usually you want to look to fade these. When you get a breakout of a range, you want to look to fade it. You want to fade all the new highs, fade all the new lows. So basically I was looking to fade this down here. I personally didn't see any entries that I liked taking. This bar is pretty neutral. This bar is really bullish, but it's not good to try and pick tops and bottoms. So usually you want to wait for a good setup instead of just a bullish bar to try and buy the low. You want to wait for either a failed second entry short or a lower high essentially, and I didn't get that on this one, so you got to sit it out. So we move on up, push right back on up. I had a short-term trend line working up through here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's kind of faint, but got a little dotted line in there. Let me make it a bit bigger. Yeah, little dotted line working up. You get a break, you get a first entry long, and then you get the second entry long right here. This was probably my favorite trade of the day. This was the cleanest trade in my opinion. These, actually, yeah, this was probably my favorite trade of the day, because you get your first entry short, your second entry short right here. Technically it fails right here, but I didn't like going long on that bar because you've got a little downtrend working against you. So typically you want a break of that and at least a retest, and at least an attempt at a retest before you consider going long. And it just seemed a bit premature going long right there. So that's your failed second entry short right there, but you can treat this essentially the same way. So when we got this retick, well, this tick, one tick lower, and basically a retest at a new low, and pretty much it combines to be your second entry long right off the EMA. I like that one a lot. Drop your stop right there, and that thing, basically I got my 1 and my 2 point target all in the same bar, so that was a nice one. And then after that, the bottom just falls out. So I'm guessing that this channel that let me just put that back on there just so you guys can see. I'm guessing that this channel that I had might be incorrect due to the fact that we just flipped over it like that without even, I mean, we gapped over it, so it could be legit, but we flipped over it without any real warning. So I'm guessing that this was it, and then you get your 2 legs up and then your huge colossal bearish bar. So I'm guessing you could have shorted that. I personally didn't know what was going on, so yeah, typically I'm thinking we're coming off the lows of the range. We broke out of it, we pulled back inside of it. This was a good opportunity to buy. Most likely we're heading to the other side, so that's why I was only looking for longs in this. I drew my trend line off the first 2 swings, and I'm still looking for longs in this, and then this happens, and literally we just sell off a whopping, let me put this back in. Look at this. This thing is literally like the biggest, most steepest, like, this is almost 90 degrees down. This is colossal. I didn't know what happened, why it happened, when it was going to stop, anything of that nature. I was trying to figure out when it was going to stop by oh yeah, another thing that you can do is when you have one range in place, just go ahead and measure the top, from the top of your range down to the bottom, and then, oh, this line is really crooked. Measure from the top of your range down to, that's not exact right now, but measure from the top of your range down to the bottom, stick it right there to kind of give you a gauge as to where you could possibly go. And then if you keep plummeting like this scenario, then just, I guess, figure out that, alright, that probably wasn't the bottom, so then just drag your line down here and then just remeasure from the top down to the bottom. Then just take that line, slap it on down there, and then you should be able to kind of guesstimate where you're most likely going to bounce. And then we had that just slight overshoot. And yeah, another way is you can measure your legs down. Oh yeah, that would have given you that one right there, so that would have been a good gauge. Yeah, I guess I probably should have bought down there, but yeah, you live and learn. Yes, you can measure this leg down and then just drag that, and clearly we got a whole lot more than that. So yeah, I didn't know what was going on. So when you don't know what's going on, just sit and do nothing, watch, and don't get burned, and just try and like just watch basically. So huge sell-off. This thing was like 20 points, I think, which is ridiculous, but 20 points, if you caught that, then wow, nice. But yeah, so we come on down, we get a break of this thing. You get your break, you get your first entry short, your second entry short. That bar is really big, it doesn't tick you in, so I guess just wait. And I'm guessing you could have gone short underneath this bar, because if you notice, you've got, do I have a line? No, I don't have a line. You've got, oh yeah, and by the way, I checked out mentally after this trade right here, because I'd already had my 3 trades for the day, and I kind of checked out mentally and was just kind of like halfway watching it. I was on my laptop and looking at the chart at the same time, but I wasn't as intently focused as I was earlier in the day after I got my first I almost said first three trades. So yeah, back to this. So you get your first entry short, your second entry short. I'm guessing you could have gone short right there because you've got some resistance stacked up, and after a big move like that, you're probably going to want to retest those lows before you continue up. You're miles away from the EMA at this point, but you just kind of chop around to catch back up to it instead of actually getting correction to go back up to it. So that's another sign that this market is really weak when it comes to the buying. So most likely you're probably going to push lower. So just hang tight, look for a short setup. And I'm guessing you could have shorted right there, or you probably could have shorted right there. Either or, it would have worked. Push on down, you get your two legs down to a new low, and then you flip. So then at that point, I guess just draw your line up off the bottoms. Then we come back into our range, and yeah, look to fade it, I'm guessing, because you break out one end and you fade every high and every low. So I'm looking for longs at this point after we move back up in here. And when I say I'm looking for longs, I'm not literally looking for longs because I wasn't trading at this point, but this is just me like going back, thinking about, okay, which way should I be thinking if I were actually... This is my method of studying, essentially, just looking at the price action, drawing lines and figuring out how I could have clued into the moves, how I could have yada yada, basically. So you draw your line up, and you get a pullback to your previous area of support, the low of our two-tiered range, because I'm guessing this is just a huge range with a midline, and then these are the lows right there. So you come on up, you get a first entry long and a second entry long right there, but you can't go long right there because you've got this channel working down. So usually you want to wait for a break of that and then a retest or a push at a new low. So you get your break, you pop on down, you get a new low by 1 or 2 ticks. I'm not completely sure because I'm not looking that far into it, but you get a new low, bullish bar, nice, it's right off the lows. You got strong support right there. I think you're good to go long right there, and that would have worked out nicely for you. And then, yeah, that's pretty much... Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to say about today because it gets wacky and funky down here, and I don't really want to talk about it too much because I don't completely know what I'm talking about, so I don't want to talk about it, if that makes sense, because I don't want to like implant a bad idea or the wrong mentality in anyone else's head. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I'm gonna say. Now that I think back on it, I don't even know if I'm gonna upload this video because this day is like funky, but I think this trade's good. I think that one's good. I know this one's good. And yeah, all these are, this is probably good. That right there, risky. I don't know about that one. This one right here, a bit risky because you're going sideways, but this long right here is probably good. And I don't think you should do anything if in here. You might have looked for a short, but it seems a bit risky with, I don't know. This is just wild to me right here. Like, this is 20 points. 20-point sell-off out of the blue. Janet Yellen, wait, what time? Oh, she talked 21 minutes ago. What happened? Oh, nothing really, but I'm sure something did happen in here because of that. But yeah, there was no news at this point. Well, at least no news that I was aware of, and just a colossal sell-off. But yeah, that's just a quick little overview of, I guess, how I study my charts. So pretty much I just go back through the price action, draw trend lines, look at things, try and see what I didn't see, try and cue myself into the big moves. And like I said, what possibly or probably could have put you into this move right here is I guess, damn it. You've got like a trend line working up, you get a break, and then you get your two legs up, and then this bar is so huge, I guess that could have let you know that something has changed and you might want to short that. But I personally didn't like it because the way I think, usually the way I'm thinking is if I come off one side, I'm looking to go to the next side unless I get a really good setup. And in my opinion, this isn't a really good setup. This is just a break and then two legs up to a new high, and then you just flip over and reverse. And I'm not at the highs yet. There's no blatant bias that's pointing towards selling in any way, shape, or form at this point, so I'm not really messing with it. I mean, I guess the only thing that you could kind of put or say that would put you in favor of a short is the fact that this channel right here, you didn't get a new low for that, but then again, you have an overshoot. Yeah, you get a slight overshoot, and the lows of your range are actually down there, and usually when you don't always get retests on range days, so I don't know about that short, man. Basically, I just don't know about that short, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's all I really have to say about today. Big range day. I didn't really like it too much. Nothing wrong with the day. It's just I like cleaner days. I like cleaner days with cleaner trades, and yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's JR once again, and I will see you guys next time.